Okay, we're on to part 2 of lesson 31. Please make sure you put your heading on your page, name, number, date, first and last in cursive. Okay, date, make sure you're writing the date that you're doing the notes, not just when I'm writing them down. Number is pi. Make sure you put your number, and our subject is math. Okay, so here we're going to be generating equivalent fractions. And we're given some clues what they want to have for those missing numbers. So what we're going to be looking for is filling in the numerator for this one and the denominator for this one. So first let's figure out what would we need to do to get 8. Now our options are only multiplication or division when we're dealing with fractions. We're either going to cut them up into more pieces or we're going to group them together. So multiplying cuts them up into more pieces. Dividing groups them together so it makes fewer groups. So it looks like we're getting fewer groups, so I'm going to divide. 16 divided by what gives me 8? Well, 16 divided by 2. So that means I need to divide 6 by 2. These will always be the same amount. I'm always going to make the same amount of groups. 6 divided by 2 is 3. So that missing numerator is 3. So now we're going to use this 3/8 to help us figure out what goes here. Well, I'm going to have more pieces. I'm cutting it up into more pieces, so that means I have to multiply. 3 times what gives me 15? Well, 3 times 5. So I have to multiply my denominator by the same amount, because I have to cut everything into the same amount of pieces. 8 times 5 is 40. So my missing denominator is 40. All right, not too bad. Just thinking of those making groups or cutting up those groups. So here we need to find the missing denominator here and the missing numerator here. So first, I'm making fewer groups. So fewer groups means I'm going to divide. 9 divided by what gives me 3? Well, 9 divided by 3 is 3. So that means I have to divide 15 by 3. 15 divided by 3 is 5. So my missing denominator is 5. Now I'm going to use that one to help me find my equivalent fraction. Well, I have more pieces, so that means I'm going to multiply. Got to cut that up. And what times 5 is 35? 7 times 5. So I'm going to do 7 times 3 is 21. So that means 21/35 is equivalent to 9/15. And that 15/40 is equivalent to 6/16. It's just a different way of cutting up or grouping those pieces. All right. So here we're missing the denominator on this one and the numerator on this one. So let's first figure out, well, 10 is going to 2. So I have fewer of them. That means I need to divide. I'm grouping them together. So 10 divided by what is 2? Well, 10 divided by 5 is 2. 35 divided by 5 is 7. So our missing denominator is 7. Those are equivalent. Now I'm going to use this to help me find my missing numerator. So 7 is going to 42. That's many more pieces, so I have to multiply to cut up into those pieces. 7 times 6 is 42. So I have to also cut this up into each one into 6 pieces. So 2 times 6 is 12. So our missing numerator is 12. Okay, last one. We need to find our missing numerator on this one, missing denominator here, to find those equivalent fractions. First, 27 becoming 9, that's making groups because I have fewer of them. I'm going to group them together. So I'm going to divide. 27 divided by 3 gives me 9. So I need to divide 15 by 3. 15 divided by 3 is 5. So our missing numerator is 5. Now I'm going to take that fraction, and I need to get 35 in my numerator. So that's more pieces. I'm going to cut these up into more pieces, so I'm going to be multiplying to get that equivalent fraction. And it's 5 times 7 gives me 35. So I need to do 9 times 7, which is 63. So our missing denominator is 63. All right, so that's generating, making those equivalent fractions using our division and our multiplication. Now we need to practice more with making equivalent fractions. Thank you for joining me.